Hey everyone, this time we read Atari Design by Raiford Guins. This was a book that I was really torn on because the subject of it is very interesting and it's something that's not really explored very much, especially in other arcade history books that I've read. On the other hand, I just had a really hard time getting into it, mostly because I don't think I was the targeted audience for it. I don't know a whole lot about industrial design. It's not really something that I read up on that often, and there was just there was just something about it that I found hard to really get into. Specifically, what this book covers is the physical design of the arcade cabinet. So, the layout of the controls, the way the cabinet looks, and just how they were used to kind of pull people into the arcades. Atari was really a pioneer when it came to getting the actual shape of the arcade cabinets down, creating really eye-catching designs and making them really very inviting for the player to come in and really want to try the game out. Raiford explains how their design teams had to draw on inspiration from really other parts of, different industrial design techniques. They did use pinball machines a little bit, but also they took inspiration from cars and some high-end appliances and that sort of thing. This is mostly because this was a brand new technology, at least a brand new thing that Atari was really making. Nobody did these type of things before, really. You have a few electromechanical games that Sega did and a few other companies that would eventually become big arcade companies, but really Atari set the standard for what was going to follow. So we cover roughly 20 years of Atari's design, and it's a really great read. We go over the different types of control mechanics, how they worked with gameplay. So you have just the actual software, but you need the software to go along with your actual hardware and everything, so that it creates that very smooth control scheme. We go over the different types of controls that were used, the things that Atari pioneered. It's a really interesting read, and there's a lot of interviews and a lot of really great stuff in here. And I really did appreciate just the level of detail that Raiford went into, as well as many of the other people that he was interviewing went into, when it comes to really creating the overall aesthetic of the arcade cabinet. Not just the artwork on the sides, the marquee, the actual layouts of the controls, but how all of it worked together to really get people to keep putting quarters into the machines. I also really like how he points out, each different game had its own unique control scheme. So you didn't necessarily have just everything being a joystick and a button. You had some games that needed a trackball, you had some games that needed multiple buttons, you needed to have games where the buttons were arranged in a certain pattern. It was really interesting to go through and see all the different design decisions that were made, especially on the physical cabinets. Once you get into the artwork and everything, that's when I really got very interested, because sometimes the artwork didn't necessarily match up to what the game was. But it was one of those things that was really eye-catching, and it helped you get into the game, or at least go up to the game and try it out. The last thing that I really liked was how they were talking about the actual cabinets being sort of like a mini billboard, or something along those lines. Each cabinet had to be able to really kind of stand on its own and bring people in. So you needed that eye-catching artwork, you needed to, have the Atari logo or something on it, you needed people to recognize the game as being an Atari game, and it just really made a lot of sense to me when I was going through it, and it's really simple things like that that I don't necessarily think about, but they were very, very important. He also talks a bit about how really Atari's arcade division kind of fell off near the end, especially in the video game crash era, when they just weren't doing the same business that they were before. A lot of the tactics that they had used weren't going to work anymore. A lot of the arcades were going away. A lot of the places where they would want to try to get their arcade cabinets in that were not a traditional arcade were also going away. This is a really great book, and it covers a great amount of stuff. It's a really good read if you're into industrial design or really arcade history. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and have a great day, everybody.